Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Good day to all of us. Ako po si Deborah Garcia and welcome to another series of lessons where you will learn not just the theories and form of the language, but also the function and the usage. But before you watch this video, please make sure that you've already watched the previous series with 18 lessons in it. I put the link of the first lesson in the description box below because in that series I discussed all the major theories that will help you understand the Filipino language from the very basic to the advanced level. So if you're ready, grab your pen and paper and let us learn all about conversational Filipino. Today we are going to discuss lesson 2 from the book that I showed to you in the previous lesson, and that is how to use want, like, and need. However, one of our hardworking students, Mr. Andrew Harvey, requested that we should discuss topics related to travel. Then I am going to slightly change the content of this lesson. Still, we are going to learn how to use want, like, and need, but in the context of how to book a flight. On the board, you can see the translation of our lesson for today. So, want versus like versus need in Filipino is gusto versus kailangan. And that gives you the idea that want and like in Filipino are just the same. So, we just use gusto when we mean want or like. So let us use want, like, and need in sentences first before we can decide if gusto, the translation gusto in Filipino, are really just of the same usage. Here are the 3 sentences. First, I want to study. Second, I like to study. And third, I need to study. Do the meaning of these sentences differ from each other? For my own understanding, if I say I want to study, then it means I have the intention or the plan to study. While if I say I like to study, it seems like I am stating a fact about me liking to study. So it means I enjoy the process of studying. While if I say I need to study, then it means whether I like it or not, I need to study. I really have to study. It is required because there will be consequences if I don't. Now let's translate these sentences into conversational Filipino. I want to study is gusto kong mag-aral. I like to study. There are 2 translation or 2 ways on how to say I like to study. So you would say gusto ko ang pag-aaral or gusto kong nag-aaral ako. Third one, I need to study. So it's kailangan kong mag-aral. Now, people would always get confused on how to use ko and ako. Actually, ako and ko are the same. It could mean I or me depending on the focus of the sentence. Let us analyze these sentences to further explain the differences between ko and ako. Number 1, gusto kong mag-aral. Gusto became the beginning of the sentence because in conversational Filipino, we don't start with the subject. We start with a verb, right? So want became the beginning of the sentence, gusto. Kong mag-aral. This is ko. We just put ng so that it won't sound broken. Ng is the connector of these 2 words. Now, why did we use ko and not ako? We don't say gusto ako mag-aral. In this sentence, the focus is not the doer of the action I, but the intention to study. So you would say gusto kong mag-aral. The focus is not the doer, but the intention to study or the plan to study. Now, number 2, there are 2 ways to say I like to study. Remember, for like, according to my research, it is talking about the process, the fact that you like the process of studying. So you say, I like to study, it would say, gusto ko ang pag-aaral or gusto kong nag-aaral ako. In the first translation, you start with the like as well or gusto. Ko again, because we are talking about the process of studying that you really like. So, and also one indication that the focus is the process of studying is because you would only use ang or the in Filipino because if your object becomes your focus. So gusto ko ang pag-aaral, or you say like me the studying. In the second translation, gusto kong nag-aaral ako. We used ko and then we used ako there. The reason why we did that is because nag-aaral here, you cannot say that in this sentence, the doer of the action is not the focus. Though we are still talking about the process of studying that you really like, the sentence won't be complete without adding something here, because we use the verb nag-aaral, and this is in the simple present tense. So if you remember, when we conjugate verbs, if the conjugation is nag-aaral, then that means the focus of the sentence is the subject and not the object. So that's why when we use the simple present and we conjugate the verb using nag-aaral in simple present tense, then the sentence won't be complete if you're just using the ko, because remember, when we use ko, we would say that the focus is not the doer. But since we use this, it would contradict the rule. So that's why we need to add ako in the end. So it would, in English, it would sound like me studying I. I know it's confusing, but don't worry, you're not alone. We Filipinos don't know these rules as well. I just did my research so that I can explain it to you properly, but it would come naturally when you learn Tagalog. Our last sentence is, I need to study. This one, need, so kailangan. Kailangan kong mag-aral. See, we did not use the regular conjugation of the verb where the focus is the subject. Mag-aral again, this is actually in the imperative form. This one is a noun form. Pag-aral, it's the process. So here, you still use ko, and then we put ng as a connector. Now let's look at a conversation between an agent and someone who would like to book a flight. Thank you for calling Philippine Airlines. This is Deborah. How can I help you? Hi, kailangan ko ng flight para bukas, Manila to Hong Kong. Sure, meron po tayong 1 p.m. to 3:30, $500 po. Meron bang mas late? Gusto kong nagta-travel ako sa gabi para hindi mainit. Kailangan ko rin ng upuan na malapit sa restroom. Meron po tayong 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. for $400 at bibigyan ko po kayo ng seat na malapit sa restroom for additional $100. Okay, gusto ko yan. Now, here are the 4 sentences where the client booking a flight mentioned want, like, and need, or gusto and kailangan. So, in the first sentence, she said, kailangan ko ng flight para bukas. Kailangan is need, flight for tomorrow. Para bukas is for tomorrow. Now, why do you think we used kailangan and not just want or like? There is a specific timeline that she needs the flight, right? It's for tomorrow. It's urgent. So she really need a flight for tomorrow. Maybe there is a consequence if she can't get a flight for tomorrow. So we use kailangan here. It's the same in English. It's urgent. Now, number 2, she said, gusto kong nagta-travel ako sa gabi. So, in the conversation, the agent offered a flight at 1 p.m., but the client declined that one because she said, gusto kong nagta-travel in the evening. Gabi is evening. Now, in this sentence, we used ko and ako as well. Nagta-travel is in the simple present. It's an English word made into or conjugated into a Filipino verb. Nagta-travel is in the present tense. So if our conjugation is in the simple present tense, ko will not suffice. We need to use ako there because the focus of this sentence, though we say we use ko because the focus is the traveling, but since this is in the present form, then we need to use ako here because the focus now will also become the doer of the action, the one who's traveling. And the number 3, she said, kailangan ko rin ng upuan malapit sa restroom. Kailangan, again, need. Why? What is she talking about? Upuan is a seat. Malapit is near. Restroom is how we say washroom. So we don't use washroom in the Philippines. We use restroom or CR. CR is comfort room. So she needs a seat. I need a seat near the restroom or washroom. So she needs it. She doesn't just want it. She doesn't just like it, but she really needs it. Maybe she has a weak bladder or something. And the number 4, when after the agent gave her the flight for I think it's 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. She agreed. She said, okay, gusto ko yan. Okay, I want that. So in conclusion, we could say that want and like are not the same. And in Filipino, even though we only have one translation for these two, and that's gusto, we can also tell the difference depending on how you use gusto in a sentence. And that is all for today. I hope you learned something. Please don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you again next time. Bye!